Surprise! I cut my hair and I'm going to live with monks. Okay. I'm currently writing a book trilogy called Belladonna. It's my most ambitious writing project yet, and to pull it off, I need real-life experience. So when I stumbled across the opportunity to join a meditation course at a temple here in Thailand, I was intrigued. During the application process, I had a choice between 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, and 14 days, and me, knowing absolutely nothing about this course, blindly decided, hey, 14 days sounds pretty good. And then I sent in my application, just like that. So now you're probably wondering, Mel, why does this video say 7 days if you only applied for 14 days? Don't worry, we will get to that. Fast forward a few days after I sent in my application, I get an email back from the temple. They had a room reserved for 14 days. I wanted to get a sense for what the heck I was getting myself into and what the heck I just signed up for. I go to the website and I finally read through the list of rules. And let me tell you, it was intense. It was intense. Here they are. First things first, follow the 8 precepts, which is a Buddhist practice to simplify your life and focus inward. No killing, no stealing, no sexual activity, no lying, no alcohol or drugs, no eating solid food after 12 p.m., no entertainment, no singing, dancing, listening to music, or playing musical instruments, no beautifying the body, no wearing makeup, perfume, or jewelry, no luxurious beds or seats, no overindulging in sleep. And next were some additional course rules. No immodest clothing, no yoga or physical exercise besides walking, no leaving the meditation grounds, no using electronic devices or the internet, no reading or writing, no communication with other meditators, no speaking, passing notes, making eye contact, using sign language or gesturing, no communication with the outside world, no phone calls, texts, letters, or visitors. I decided to head to the internet and read through some blog posts, about people who had gone through this course before, and my goodness, there were very mixed responses. An entire range between this was absolute hell and this was the most enlightening experience of my entire life. I was getting really close to chickening out. I just needed to do something that would take me out of the wishy-wash zone and into the I am 100% committed zone. And the only thing I could possibly think of that I could do was surprise! I'm getting a pixie cut in like an hour. I feel like the last thing I want to worry about while I'm at this meditation course is conditioning this mess. Guess who has short hair now? Wow, this is different. It feels weird. My roommate is not here. She's at the gym right now downstairs. Get ready, get ready. We're gonna spook her, okay? We're gonna spook her. This is live.
What did you do? You did that?
I did that.
Wait.
I did that. I literally bought 3 sets of this full white clothing. I leave in less than an hour. Everything that I read online that I should have is in this bag. I'm really going to focus on the actual experience, so I'm going to kind of just forget about this video. All right, last meal. I'm heading out. I'm just gonna go and not think about it too much. Hi. I arrived at the temple and walked up a ton of steps, which just about killed my legs, and then I followed the blue signs to the meditation ground. After signing some paperwork, a monk gave me the keys to my room. This was the only shot I could get, because after the opening ceremony, I wouldn't be allowed to film anything. After changing into my uniform, I met our monk teacher in the classroom, chanted some things I didn't understand, and officially began my course. Moving onto the grounds was a huge culture shock compared to my comfortable apartment in the city. For example, there was no air conditioning. Thailand has been pretty hot lately, so I had a hard time falling asleep on my first night there. There were also quite a few ants, lizards, and spiders in the bathrooms and showers. I'm not a fan of little crawling things, so they were quite horrifying at first. Perhaps the biggest challenge of all was the food. No solid food after noon was already quite the adjustment, but I also had trouble eating the dishes they served. Because of this, I spent a majority of my time on the grounds hungry, and I quickly learned why some of the other meditators had snacks overflowing from their bags. New living conditions with food I had trouble eating, and a strict schedule was a lot to take in at once. And on my second day, I already hit rock bottom. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. to get ready, stared at the wall for a bit, and then I headed to the Dhamma talk at 5:30, which is essentially a lecture on how to live life to the fullest. After class, we all flinched as a frighteningly loud bell called us for breakfast. At this point, I was feeling homesick and doubtful about whether or not I should stay. I thought a shower might help me feel better. The water was freezing cold, which I should have expected. I still didn't know what to do, so I went back to the meditation hall to practice with the others. I wasn't used to sitting for so long, and my legs would constantly go numb. When I stood up, I had no sensation in my ankle whatsoever, and I fell face first in the middle of the meditation hall, which was very embarrassing. By lunch, I was feeling miserable and still hadn't made up my mind about whether to leave or not. And to make things worse, all I could bring myself to stomach was a packaged cracker. One of the guys noticed that I turned down the food and snuck to the back to steal me an extra pack of crackers, which I was very grateful for, but I wasn't allowed to verbally thank him, so Cracker Boy, if you're watching this, thank you. When I got back to my room that afternoon, I had a bit of a breakdown, like there were silent tears running down my cheeks. I didn't know how I could possibly handle 14 days of this. At noon, I went to my first reporting session, which is a daily one-to-one talk between you and the monk teacher. It usually lasts less than 5 minutes long, and it's the only time of the day when you can actually speak. I gathered the courage to ask if I could change my 14-day program into a 7-day program. He kind of chuckled and assured me that the second day is always the most challenging. I had a sense that the monk teacher was trying to convince me to stay longer, but he eventually agreed to move the date of my closing ceremony. 7 days felt manageable, and at this point I was fully committed once again. Fun fact about our meals, because we weren't allowed to have contact with each other, we all sat at our own individual tables in the dining hall. It was a very odd, antisocial environment. I remember looking around during breakfast on day 3, seeing everyone dressed in white, all expressionless and eating in dead silence. What used to be such a dreary scene during my first 2 days was suddenly amusing. I recognized that this was a moment so unique, I couldn't possibly find anything like it in the real world, and it felt really special. As time went on, the bugs and lizards no longer made me uncomfortable, and I learned to enjoy cold showers. Even meditating came more naturally to me. And now that I was getting used to living on the grounds, I had an easier time focusing during our Dhamma talks, which made them even more enjoyable. Our monk teacher covered topics like the difference between laziness and relaxation, the concept of karma, and how to find happiness with an unexciting job. But I never did get used to the food, and during my final 2 days, the lack of energy really started to physically affect me. By day 7, I was very much ready to return home. Looking back on the experience, I can say with confidence that I'm glad I stayed for a week. Do I wish I stayed for 14 days instead? No. But through this course, I learned a lot about myself and society. Let me share 3 of my takeaways. People are naturally drawn to the past and the future. To live our lives to the fullest, we have to train ourselves to focus on the present. Our bodies don't need fancy cars, the latest designer clothes, or 1 million followers. Our materialistic desires are a result of societal conditioning. People adapt to challenges easier than they expect. What seems impossible at first can become manageable in a surprisingly short amount of time. The hardest part is accepting the challenge in the first place. You do this every year?
Yes, every year. It's easy นะแมว บะหมี่เกี๊ยวหมูแดง อันนี้นะคะข้าวมันไก่ Mel really like it ใช่ไหม Mel?
While I was at the course, I spent hours lost in time. Even when we weren't meditating, we were encouraged to stay mindful. When we were eating, we were supposed to think about grabbing our fork and putting food on the fork. We were just supposed to be present and brain empty all the time. So I would guiltily schedule a set hour during the day where I would just lay on my bed, stare at the ceiling, and think about absolutely anything I wanted to. Thinking turned into an illegal luxury. As time went on, it did get easier, and I started to enjoy these quiet, silent moments to myself. So how exactly does this entire experience relate to my book trilogy? Going into this, I thought that it would be a great opportunity to add a bit of wisdom into my story, which may still be the case, but my actual writing-related takeaway was completely unexpected. I remembered a scene from the beta version of Nightshade Academy, the first book in my trilogy. It's a scene where two characters are staring out at the view together. It's just a really quiet, uneventful moment. That was one of my most popular scenes. I think I finally realized why. I've had this really big fear that my books will bore readers. This fear has made me write Nightshade Academy in a way that is way too quick.
Hi, my name is Joshua, and I would like to agree with the other beta readers when they said that the pacing of the story needs the most work.
If I had to choose something that could be improved, it just felt like a little too rushed, a little too fast, and we didn't really see much of the growth in the characters.
Characters are indeed the most important element of a story. I would really love to know about who the characters really are. The emotional journey of the story felt incomplete.
And if living life to the fullest requires that we learn to enjoy these slow, boring moments, then maybe telling the best story that we can requires that we do the same thing. Maybe it's the moments like those that make a story feel the most real. So among the training scenes and epic battles and betrayals, I'm going to write more of those small, quiet moments. And hey, if this is the only realization I got out of going hungry for a week, I'd say it was worth it. Quick announcement, I have a Patreon now, so if you like what I do here on YouTube, consider joining for special benefits like early access to new videos. I'll have a link to learn more in the description below.